Your gift was highly offensive. That is the note that I got from a lender that came from a borrower. Can't wait to tell you more. You're not going to believe this one, folks, really. I want to remind you we are sponsored by ANow Software. Of course, ANow is the total appraisal management software. I say that a lot, folks, but break that down. What does that mean? Total means complete. Appraisal, that's what we do. Management, that's what we need to do. Software, the ability to access it from anywhere. Check it out at anow.com/coach. Once again, it's anow.com/coach. All right, folks. So I got a funny one. I think it's a funny one. I laughed, and thankfully the lender laughed as well. So for the last 6 years, I have been doing something that I thought was pretty cordial, professional. I'm not going to say altruistic because there's an alternative motive there. But in fact, if you've taken my Go Create Some Value workshop, you'll know what this is all about. I have been giving, and I'm just going to show people on the coach cam here, I've been giving one of these to the borrower, to the contact, to the realtors that I meet on my inspections. As you can see, it's a little small, just a 2-ounce jar of all-natural huckleberry jam. It is made in Idaho, and so it's kind of a cool gift, I think, to give out. There's a reason I give it. Obviously, the obvious reason is, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to come in your home. We want to act like professionals and just thank you for allowing us to come into your abode and do the things that we do. But, there is a motive there beyond that. As I talk about in my Go Create Some Value workshop, when I started giving out the jams, I actually noticed that my complaints went down. And when I say complaints, I mean, homeowners complaining about this, that, or the other. I think that the science will play this out. In fact, I'm reading a book currently called Influence. Can't remember the author, but that's the full name of it. I mean, it might have a subtitle as well, but Influence is the name. And it's an interesting book because it talks about, human motivations and why we do the things that we do. Some people could call the book, I guess they could title it Manipulations because it talks about how to utilize these tools for sales tactics and different things. But it's interesting to me to study human nature and why we do the things that we do. And, one of those laws is the law of reciprocation. And the law of reciprocation basically says that when you are given something, that it is human nature to want to give back. And so a lot of companies will utilize this, for example, you might get a gift in the mail. They call it a gift. They emphasize that it's a gift, that they're not expecting payment in return for this gift. Maybe it's a self-adhesive return address labels with your name and address on them or something. You've all received these. And then, of course, a letter accompanies saying, please give to our charity, right? And statistics will show that a letter sent alone saying, please give to our charity is far less likely to be achieved than something else that might come with a gift, that letter that might come with a gift. And so a lot of companies will utilize the law of reciprocation. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There is a reason why I give the jam, and it's more than just to say thank you. It is to say thank you because, let's face it, folks, we're walking through people's personal abode. We're walking through and seeing the most intimate parts of their life. And I think it's important to say thank you for that. Yes, it's them getting a loan. Yes, it's them, ordering the appraisal, as the case may be with a personal appraisal. Yes, I get all of that, but it's still an uncomfortable situation, and I just want to give back a little bit and say thank you for that. But the law of reciprocation would say that, if you give a small gift, that they're going to be less inclined to complain, less inclined to do other things. Again, you screw up on an appraisal. I'm not going to say a jar jam is going to keep them from going to the state board. I mean, obviously, I've had my fair share of complaints, but I do think that it does cause them to at least pause and reflect on whether they want to proceed because, hey, this guy was super nice, he was friendly, and he left me a jar of jam. I think there's something to that. But I had a situation just yesterday. I got a phone call from a lender I've worked for many years. Great lender. I would call them an A client. They're one of my A clients. They're a local lender, and they do have national underwriting. And I actually got a call from the national number. And the underwriter on the other side said that the borrower had complained about one of our appraisals. And in the midst of going back and forth, explaining the situation to her, and admittedly, we screwed up. There was a mess up on the sketch. And it was clear after talking to her and reviewing my notes that we had missed about 150 square feet on the home, and we made adjustments. We still had it bracketed with the sales. We didn't have to change out comps or anything. We were able to remedy the situation. That being said, it did not appease the borrower. The borrower is still pretty darn ticked. At the end of the conversation, the lender made a comment to me that this kind of made me laugh. And when we get back from the break, I'll tell you what that comment was and how we handled that. And I'll also tell you what I think it actually means if you haven't already figured that out for yourself. But I'll first, of course, pause here and remind you that we are sponsored by ANow Software. ANow, of course, is the software system that I use to manage my full appraisal office. That means all of the volume, the appraisals that come in on a monthly basis, I am able to keep track of very easily with ANow software. Now, folks, you might look at ANow and say, well, do I want to spend that much per month to manage my software or to manage my appraisal business? Yeah, you do. And here's why. It's not a cost, folks. It's an investment. It saves me so much time, literally hours every week. My staff loves it because they can keep track of everything that's going on. I love it because I can keep track of everything that's going on. I also love it because I can look at the analytics side, the numbers, the stats, and see what's going on in my business at a glance. You should check them out. Go to anow.com/coach. Once again, it's anow.com/coach. Okay, folks, I want to introduce you to a new sponsor here today. The sponsor is Be Later Management System. So speaking of management systems, here's another one for you. Have you tried declining orders or trying to, tell your advertised orders that maybe you're a week out? For example, you've just got a lot going on and you end up losing order after order after order because you just can't jump on it as quickly as your competitors. Well, Be Later Management System enables you to do work beyond your max capacity. You can feel comfortable snatching those broadcast orders instead of letting your competitors get them, folks, even if you can't actually meet the due dates. Check this out, folks. So Be Later software can get you an average of one extra appraisal per week beyond the original requested due date. In other words, you can take that appraisal and you can extend it out for an extra week. If you can't get to it this week, but your competitors can, feel free to jump on that order. Here's how it works. The client sends out an order for, say, property A with a 1 week due date. You look at that and you say, there's no way you're going to be able to get to that in a week. Well, go ahead and accept the order for property A anyway, and immediately insert that into your Be Later management system. Based on your settings, Be Later will periodically update your client regarding property A with excuses as to why you have not performed the inspection yet. For example, left a voicemail with a contact but no answer. Inclement weather prevented the inspection. Sick child at home required appraiser to reschedule the appointment. I fell ill for a couple of days, which put me behind on my workload. These are just some of the preloaded excuses, but you can create your own as well. By the time you get around to inspecting property A, your Be Later management system has already bought you an extra week. How amazing is that? 1 week due dates become 2 week due dates. Don't give those orders to your competition just because you've maxed out your work capacity. Get Be Later management system and never have to worry about due dates again. Why do A now when you can be later? All right, folks, we are back. Quick mini-sode for you today. We're talking a little bit about an experience that I had yesterday on the phone call with an A client of mine. She was very friendly, very kind, very professional, but she called me with some complaints that the borrower had made. And frankly, one of them was legitimate, and we fixed the problem. At least I felt like we had. But she added a little comment at the end of the conversation that I honestly laughed out loud. I really did. I started laughing, and thankfully she was good-hearted enough to laugh along with me. The comment was, By the way, Dustin, I should let you know that the borrower was highly offended at the bottle of jam that you left on his countertop. Yeah, highly offended at this little bottle of jam that I leave at every inspection. I have done for 6 years. He was highly offended at the jam that I left. And I thought, interesting. And so I asked her, I said, well, did he happen to say why he was offended at the jam? And she said, yes. She said it came with a really nasty note. And I thought to myself, I don't even leave notes. I don't remember the last time I left a note. I leave a pamphlet on their table that's basically a frequently asked questions, and I'm showing that on the coach cam. So on one side, it basically goes through some of the frequently asked questions that we have as appraisers. So why are appraisals so expensive? But the appraiser only spent 22.8 minutes in my house. So what happens now? Can I get a copy of the appraisal? Can I talk to the appraiser about the appraisal? Can I use the appraisal for another purpose? Some of those questions that we get on a regular basis, I like to leave this little pamphlet with them. And it's fancy design. Again, I'm going to show that to the coach cam. It looks like jam has been spilled all over it. So I thought that was kind of cool of my marketing guy to do that. But she said, no, he was not only offended at the appraisal, which, by the way, he called a joke. That is a direct quote. He called the appraisal a joke. But he was highly offended at the note that I left behind. And I said, well, what note did I leave behind? And she said, he said that you put something on the table like, I sure hope this appraisal doesn't jam your life up. Okay. First of all, that did not happen. Second of all, I did leave the pamphlet that I talked about on the countertop. And I can tell you that the title of this little pamphlet is Hope Our Inspection Didn't, quote, jam, unquote, up your day too much. Hope our inspection didn't jam up your day too much. Little play on words, folks. I think we're getting a little offended at something that, first of all, wasn't said and furthermore was not intended. Hope your appraisal didn't jam up your life. Love it. Here's the deal, folks. I think this is obvious to anybody listening as to what this is. First of all, this guy was not offended at my jam. Maybe the guy doesn't like Huckleberry. I don't know. My guess is he was offended at the value of his home. Okay. That's the problem. That's overshadowing everything else. And of course he's upset with the mistake that we made on the square footage. Again, didn't make a huge difference in value. I think it changed the value, maybe $4,000, which is something. And hey, we're human. We make mistakes. I fixed the problem. At least I thought I did. Here's the problem. Though it was funny that he was highly offended at the jam that I left on the countertop, my guess is he was not highly offended at the jam at all. My guess is he was highly offended at the value of his home, that his home was not the castle that he thought it was. And so he was looking for every reason to be offended. And if that means throwing the jam under the bus, then he's going to throw the jam under the bus, which is exactly what he did. So here's the deal, folks, and here's the lesson learned. I think there's a lesson to be learned here, and that is this. Be careful with your appraisals. Sometimes I think that we are too sloppy, if you will. I should not have made the mistake that I made on the report. I freely admit that. I should have checked it, double-checked it, triple-checked it. I did check my report, but I did not check it in that aspect. And so because of this, we are changing the way that we do things just a little bit so that hopefully that won't happen again. But here's the thing. If a borrower or a realtor or a lender, for that matter, or any other intended user or unintended user gets a hold of your report and they get offended at whatever, okay, please understand that they are going to look for every opportunity to tear you apart. Now, most of the time, it's not going to be jam, okay? Most of the time, it's going to be the unprofessional way that you performed your job, the short amount of time that you were at the property, you name it. But I would guess even more importantly and more poignant is the amount of time that they're going to spend complaining about your appraisal, even down to the nitty-gritty details such as your grammar, your spelling mistakes, you name it. If they are offended at the appraisal in general, now if they're happy with their value, they're not even going to look at anything else, right? That's just human nature. Human nature is if you're upset at one thing, you're going to look for other things to justify your rage. Okay, in this case, they were highly offended at the jam that I left. The lesson to be learned here, I think, is this. Please do the very best job that you can. Just know that if someone gets offended, they are going to go into the details, and there may be details there that they would not see otherwise. We need to make sure that we cross our T's, that we dot our I's. Anybody who has been on the stand, which I have done, expert witness work, you know that the other side, the one that you're not representing, the other side is going to tear you apart. And I have been on the stand and a spelling error has been pointed out. It's embarrassing. And then the comment is, well, if this appraiser that's been doing this for 2 decades can't spell whatever, name the word, how can he possibly appraise a house, right? Now, those two don't have anything to do with each other, right? But a judge and jury may not see it that way. If they can discredit you on a spelling error, on a grammar error, on something else, then they can, potentially discredit you on your analyses as a real estate appraiser. Cross your T's, dot your I's, folks. And if people get offended at a jar jam, laugh it off. The loan officer and I had a good chuckle about that. And, it is what it is. I want to remind you folks that we are hot and heavy into the Appraiser Academy. I hope that you'll join us monthly. Monthly, we meet for a live online meeting where we interact with one another online. It is great technology that brings us all together as appraisers, and I am there and others are there to help you to move forward in your appraisal business, to make more money, to do more with less, to work smarter, not harder, all those cliches. Come join us, the Appraiser Academy. Go to theappraisercoach.com, click click on memberships and check us out. All right, folks, that's it for today. We'll catch you next time.